Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and today we have a replay featuring everybody's favourite ridiculously overpowered Tier 7 premium cruiser, HMS Belfast. I've actually visited the real HMS Belfast, tied up next to Tower Bridge in the Tower of London, on the River Thames in London, and it was a fantastic experience, and it's actually quite surprising how little some things have changed between the days when the Belfast was cutting-edge technology and when I was serving in the Navy 30, 40 years later. The more things change, the more they stay the same. But anyway, Jingles, why do you say the Belfast's overpowered? Well, currently on the EU server, the Belfast, played for us today by Bazza, is sitting on a 54.21% win rating. Now, that's not the best win rating of Tier 7 cruisers currently on the EU server. More on that in a moment. The results might actually surprise you. But still, 54.21% is pretty darn impressive. Why is the Belfast such a good ship here in the game? Well, it's not just one reason. The Belfast has a whole bunch of good things going for it that, when taken together as a package, mean that this ship is just a little bit on the overpowered side. We'll begin with the ammunition. One of the distinguishing features of the British light cruiser line in World of Warships is that it does not get high explosive ammunition. Instead, they all fire semi-armour piercing only. Now, this can be a bit of a blessing and a bit of a curse. You never have to worry about whether or not you have the right ammunition fired for the target that you're shooting at. It's armour piercing or go home. On the other hand, of course, if you're not firing high explosive, you're going to set very few fires with the British cruisers unless you get close enough to hit somebody with your secondary gun batteries. And with the terrible armour on British cruisers, you never want to be purposefully close enough to an enemy target to be able to shoot them up and set them on fire with your secondaries. The Belfast, as a premium Tier 7, does get access to high explosive ammunition. Why is that important, Jingles? Well, I recently did a video about the inertia fuse high explosive Tier 4 captain skill that increases the armour penetration of your high explosive by 30%, and for those of you who didn't see the video, what this basically means is that you have a cruiser Tier 6 or higher armed with 152mm guns, and you take this skill, you can penetrate the bow armour of any cruiser or battleship, Tier 8, 9 or 10, from the front with your high explosive ammunition. Without that skill, your high explosive will not penetrate the bow armour, and your armour piercing is going to bounce off the bow armour anyway. High explosive, however, doesn't care about angle of impact. It's going to hit, it's going to explode, and it's either going to penetrate or not. Another thing that makes the Belfast just a little on the overpowered side is that it has a smoke screen. Now, again, this is common to the British cruisers, but what makes the Belfast different is the two other consumables that the Belfast can carry. You see, while it's all very nice and cosy sitting inside a smoke screen, you can't actually see anything out of it either, unless you have other ships or aircraft spotting targets for you. Bazza does right here. This is why he took this position. He smoked up when he was in gun range of a whole bunch of different enemy ships, and they were all spotted by various friendlies. And I think he's just about to delete this Fur attacker from existence. I have no idea what this Fur attacker thinks he's doing. He hasn't scored any citadels yet, but he's got the armour piercing loaded, shooting at the broadside of the ship, and a bit of a video failure there, but there's the citadels, 4 of them. Third salvo on the way, he has to kill him. There's his first kill. Not quite sure what was going through the Fur attacker's head there, other than 152mm armour piercing. Perhaps he just had an urgent appointment somewhere else and he needed to be out of the game as quickly as possible. But you'll notice that Bazza, with that Fur attacker sailing broadside onto him, has activated the first of his overpowered consumables on this ship, hydroacoustic search. With that lit up, he's obviously anticipating that the Fur attacker maybe was sailing broadside on so he could get his torpedoes away, but there are no torpedoes incoming. The Fur attacker just had a brain fart and paid the penalty. So straight away you can see that if you're in the Belfast, you've got the hydroacoustic search consumable. You can sit nice and pretty inside your smoke screen, and you don't have to worry about torpedoes fired blind into the smoke. With the hydroacoustic search consumable, you'll get plenty of warning that they're coming. Now, Bazza is not just relying on this overpowered ship to carry him through the game. Did you note the position that he was in when he deployed that smoke screen? Plenty of targets, all within shooting range, all nicely spotted, lots of ships that he could just keep the guns firing at for the duration of the smoke, and he knew exactly when the smoke was going to expire. He was already moving before the smoke dissipated. Once the smoke was gone, He knew exactly where he was going to go to get to his next spot of cover. That was a lovely piece of positioning. It's very important when you're playing in a cruiser that has a smoke screen that you don't just smoke up in the middle of nowhere and blaze away at whatever's in range, because that'll work for the duration of the smoke, and then when the smoke dissipates, suddenly you're in the shooting range of a whole bunch of different enemy ships. You're not sneaky like a destroyer. You can't just stop firing and remain undetected. You're in a cruiser, you're a much bigger target, and you have a citadel, unlike a destroyer, that reacts very, very violently when it gets hit by armour-piercing shells. Bazza picked that spot with very, very great care. Once the smoke had dissipated, he had another island right in front of him that he could just slip into the cover of and out of the line of fire of anybody who might be taking an interest. And of course, he only has to wait 30 seconds with the premium smoke consumable to get the smoke screen back up again. You'll note that he has now used the second of the consumables that makes this ship just a little bit overpowered: his radar. See, this is the other problem associated with hiding in a smokescreen. One, you're a torpedo magnet, but hey, he's got the hydroacoustic search to take care of that. And two, you can't see out of the smokescreen, and if there's nobody spotting for you, you've got nothing to shoot at. You're useless to your team. Not so with the Belfast. Belfast has radar. You can pop your smokescreen, you've got your hydroacoustic search ready to go in case there's somebody close enough to fire torpedoes into the smoke, and if there's nobody on your team outside of the smoke close enough to spot targets for you, then just pop the radar. Suddenly you can see out of the smoke and they can't see into it. Keep the guns firing. This ship really is ridiculous. If you were to take a look at the average win rating of all Tier 7 cruisers on the EU server in World of Warships, you'll see HMS Belfast sitting in third place with a win rating overall of 54.21%. What's in first place, Jingles? Has anybody ever heard of the USS Flint? I'm sure you probably have. If you haven't, it will probably come as no surprise to learn that USS Flint is at number 1 for win rating on the EU server with Tier 7 cruisers, with a win rating of 66.26%. Now, to be completely fair, in order to unlock the USS Flint, you have to be ranked 1 in 3 separate seasons of ranked battles, so it's probably no great surprise. Oh, there's his second kill. Don't worry, plenty more where that one came from. Where were we? Oh yes, the USS Flint. Yes, you probably have to be a pretty good player to get the USS Flint, so it's no real surprise. Oh, and his smoke screen's down and he's been spotted and he is being targeted. But yes, it's probably no real surprise that the players with the USS Flint are doing so incredibly well. It also doesn't hurt that the USS Flint is a premium Atlanta, and you've all seen what the Atlanta can do with its massed ranks of 127mm guns, but the USS Flint is an Atlanta with a smokescreen, so yeah. What's in second place, Jingles? That's where the surprise comes. Second place is actually HMS Fiji, the non-premium Tier 7 British cruiser, the one that doesn't get high explosive and doesn't get radar. It's actually doing better than the Belfast, which I thought was very surprising. I mean, the Fiji is a good ship, but I wouldn't have rated it above the Belfast. So, as you can see, the combination of having a smokescreen and having the radar so you can see out of the smokescreen, and oh, he sunk the Fuso, looks like the fires that he set finally claimed her. But yes, you can see how the combination of having a smokescreen and the ability to see and shoot out of the smokescreen without being detected can be quite brutal. But this is a cruiser. Don't forget, unless you have an exit strategy ready to go, you're going to get spotted, unlike a destroyer, for example, that just has to stop firing and stealth up again straight away, even without the smokescreen. The cruiser is likely to get spotted, so you must have that exit strategy ready to go. And here's another perfect example. Mutsuki spotted, cruising just outside the limits of his detection range. Bazza pops his radar. Suddenly, there's the Mutsuki, lit up, clear as day. Bazza's got his smokescreen back up. He's now more or less immune to anything other than blind fire. The Mutsuki now outside of what should be detection range, but thanks to the radar, he's still lit up. Now he's got torpedo bombers overhead, and the torpedo bombers, I think, were what spotted the Mutsuki's torpedoes as they were launched. The radar, of course, doesn't last very long, but it lit that Mutsuki up at the critical moment and forced it to brace off his attack run and just dump his torpedoes into the water in desperation. And Bazza was able to do it from the comfort and security of his smokescreen. He didn't have to worry about taking any return fire while he drove the Mutsuki off. One of the friendly carriers has just managed to miss him with the torpedoes, but well, the Mitsuki's not an easy target to hit with torpedoes. Oh, speaking of easy targets, load the armour piercing, boys. I spy a British cruiser. Oh, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt a lot. Is this going to be his fourth kill? How many citadels do you think he's going to score on this Leander? Oh, none there. Second volley in the air. Third volley almost loaded. No, still no citadels. Third volley on the way. Lots and lots and lots of torpedoes up front, spotted by friendly fighters. No need for him to burn the hydroacoustic. And it looks like no citadels on the Leander. He's now angled. So back to the high explosive. And his smoke screen's about to dissipate. Wait a second, the Leander is turning broadside on again. He's got another threat in front of him with shots coming in. Can we get some citadels on the Leander? Well, we're not going to get them with high explosive, but he's loaded the armour piercing. His smoke screen's gone, so he's moving forward. He's managed to shoot down a fair old number of those dive bombers, and wow. Shatters and over penetrations on the Leander with a final volley of armour piercing. Well, that was pretty unlucky. This game is fairly close, however. Both teams have sunk 5 ships. The enemy team are ahead on points because they control 2 of the capture circles, but ooh, hello. There's one of the capture circles, and now that Baza is no longer firing and is not spotted, have a look at his surface detection range. 10 kilometres when he's firing the guns, 8.7 when he isn't, which means providing he doesn't get a little carried away and start shooting at somebody, he can sneak a capture. Now he's not the only one in the cap circle. There's a Polish destroyer over there as well, but he's got torpedo bomber problems and he's being shot at by that Königsberg. So Baza takes the opportunity because, I mean, look at that target. Armour piercing loaded. Come on, let's have some citadels. Nope, they missed. Königsberg is shooting at the destroyer. Somebody has Baza targeted, but they're not shooting at him. There are the citadels, and there's the high caliber award and kill number 4. The destroyer's smoked up. You going to borrow that smoke screen, Baza? Be a shame to waste yours when there's a smoke screen sitting just there. Somebody does have him targeted, but I can't see anybody firing at him, and they have capped, and now he's not detected. So whoever had him targeted must have been out of range. Or so I thought, because just as these enemy fighters come overhead, a sneaky little Japanese destroyer pops up. It's an Akatsuki lurking around behind the island. I think this might have been the guy that had Baza targeted, but at that kind of range he didn't want to give his position away by firing his guns. Well, it's kind of too late for him now because he's been spotted and he's getting shot at, and he doesn't appear to have his smoke screen ready to go. And now Baza isn't detected because he's got the island between him and the Akatsuki. The Akatsuki's engaged in a bit of a gunfight here and appears to be coming off worse. And even if he did have the smoke screen, Baza has radar. His hydroacoustic search isn't ready to go, so he's not going to get too close to corner the island in case he sails into a bunch of torpedoes. But, well, the Akatsuki wasn't paying attention and wasn't wondering where did that Belfast go. So, is there anything bad about the Belfast? Well, to be completely fair, yes. Unlike other British cruisers at this kind of level, and earlier, it doesn't get torpedoes. And unlike all other British cruisers from Tier 3 and up, it doesn't get access to the repair consumable. Furthermore, while the Belfast anti-aircraft guns aren't bad, it doesn't get access to the defensive fire consumable. So you can expect to lose some aircraft if you choose to attack a Belfast with them, but you're probably going to get through, and any damage that you do to the Belfast, more citadels, any damage that you do to the Belfast is going to stick, and Baza was not paying attention. 1, 2, 3 torpedo hits, yep, that is going to hurt. Took his eye off the ball for 1 second and paid the price, and with no repair consumable, that damage is not going to go away, but he does have some armour piercing on the way to that Leander. And there's kill number 6, and momentarily spotted one of the enemy carriers. This game is still neck and neck. Both teams only have 4 ships remaining, but Baza's team is ahead on points thanks to the capture of Point Bravo there, and Point Alpha is right in front of him. Now Baza has just burned his radar. If you have a look at the map, you'll see the last reported position of the sole surviving enemy destroyer was around about 10 kilometres to the south, and I suspect Baza didn't want to catch any unwelcome surprises from destroyers lurking around the side of the island. So the radar's gone, but he does have smoke left and his hydroacoustic search is ready to go. He's capping Alpha, But here come his problems. There's at least one enemy carrier lurking behind the safety of that island, and here come the dive bombers, and he is of course detected. Now he's got no defensive fire cooldown, so he's going to have to manoeuvre and just, well, keep his fingers crossed, because he doesn't have the burst anti-aircraft damage per second to take these aircraft out before they get to him. In fact, he didn't even manage to shoot one of those dive bombers down, and there's the Independence. High explosive loaded, he is burning, but he's not going to use the damage control just yet because here come the torpedo bombers. Now it's unlikely he actually has enough health to survive a torpedo hit, unless the carrier player has gone to brown alert, panicked, and dropped the torpedoes too close for the fusers to arm. Oh, that was a definite guaranteed kill. How do you fuck that up? Bazza, you lucky bastard. Well, the Independence is showing him a clean pair of heels, but I think the Ranger here is probably going to be the most immediate problem because, well, he's just recovered his dive bombers, he's getting ready to launch them again, and I'm pretty sure Bazza is now inside his secondary gun battery range, and he doesn't have an awful lot of health to mess around with. Yep, there go the secondaries. So there's no way he's going to sink this Ranger in time to prevent its captain from giving attack orders to that dive bomber squadron, so he's probably going to get hit again. And he doesn't have the anti-aircraft firepower to beat the squadron of tier 7 dive bombers. He's hit again, he's burning again, the Ranger's trying to back away. But now, well, the volume of incoming fire from the secondaries is slackening off because he's getting around the front of the Ranger. Bazza, use that. That's it. Good. Yes, he's put the fire out. There's barely any health remaining. Surely he's going to get the kill on the Ranger as well. Shots out, he's burning, and the kill gets taken with just a couple of hundred health remaining by the Bayern. That would have been his 7th kill. The Ranger did manage to get aircraft away, but far too late to be able to give them attack orders. Bazza should be safe. Can he get the kill on the Independence? His AA guns are working over those torpedo bombers anyway. Surely he's got the kill. I mean, this is going to be his 7th. It should have been his 8th. Come on, Bazza. Work those guns. Do it for God, King and Country. Bingo, he's got him. 7 kills. Should have been 8, but, well, could have, should have, would have. Didn't. Bayern took the kill on the Ranger. He's going to have to settle for 7. But 7 kills and 204,000 damage in a light cruiser? Yeah, it's not bad. And Bazza did play well, although he did take his eye off the ball just for 1 second there and ate 3 torpedoes from an air attack as a result. But other than that, he pretty much didn't put a foot wrong. But you can see why the Belfast is considered to be so disgustingly overpowered. It's that combination of fast light cruiser with rapid-firing 152mm guns with a smokescreen, the ability to detect any torpedoes coming into the smokescreen from a good safe distance, and the ability to spot its own targets from within the smokescreen. Can you imagine if there was a destroyer in the game that also had access to radar? Well, you don't have to imagine it, because it's on the way. It's the USS Black, and it's the new reward for finishing ranked first in 5 separate seasons of ranked battles. It's a Tier 9 USS Fletcher that also has the radar consumable, and it is just as disgustingly overpowered and broken as you probably imagine. But that is coming in a future video. For now, I hope you enjoyed today's replay in HMS Belfast. Bazza, thank you for sending it in, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.